Hi everyone.
Wait. No. What happened? Sorry everyone, just hold on for a few moments while we fix our situation here. All right, we should be good now. Sorry.
You're looking at the studio. Jasmine, they're looking at studio, not the Google Meets.
Oh no. Sorry. Okay, we should be good now.
Okay. All right.
Still on not Google Meets, Jasmine, on the stream.
It should be. Is it the delay?
There we go. There we go.
Oh yeah, you moved it down. Oh. Hello? Wait.
Hello everyone.
Okay.
Sorry, we have slight connection issues today, so our faces will be frozen, sorry. But you can still hear us as well as see the presentation.
Yep, you could just all think of it like profile pictures, I guess, that are just constantly changing. But yeah, slight connection issues. But hopefully y'all can hear our voices and see the presentation well today. But yeah, feel free to let us know in the chat if there are any complications with that. But yeah, glad to see you all today.
All right, cool. Yeah. So hi everyone. Hope everyone's been having a great afternoon, and welcome to our very first workshop, which is our Git and GitHub workshop. Before we begin, I'd like to give a special thanks and shout out to Stephany, who's joining us on the call today all the way from Texas. And so let's get started with this workshop. In case you don't know, hello, my name is Erin Tan. I'm currently the DSC lead and president here at the Developer Student Club chapter at Mount SAC, and I'm excited to see you all today.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael Pfeiffer, and I'm one of the tech leads here.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Wong, and I am the operations lead.
Alyssa couldn't hear Jasmine, but...
Sorry. Wait, yes, you can. They can.
All right, yeah.
Yes. So, hello, my name is Jasmine Wong, and I am the operations lead.
Hi everyone, my name is Giovanni. I am the tech lead.
Hey everyone, my name is Stephany Lopez. I'm joining you from Texas, and I'm a former GitHub intern.
All right, so some of you may be wondering, what is Git or GitHub, right? So you may be confused as poor Harold over here. So first I'll explain to you what Git is. And Git is essentially a distributed version control system. And that might be a lot of words, so let's break it down bit by bit. So to start off, we say that Git is a control system. And that means that Git is a file manager, and it can be used to store files somewhere. And building on top of that is a version control system, which means that as the code is being changed, or as our file is being changed, Git will detect that and it'll maintain a history of all the changes being made. And lastly, we say that it is a distributed version control system. This means that Git will store a copy of your repository, which is basically a folder containing all your code or files, locally on your computer. And since all developers will have a copy of this, we said it is distributed. And so you can think of Git as the tool that allows you to work collaboratively with other developers. And so moving on, what is GitHub exactly? And so GitHub is a web-based platform that allows you to host code and repositories. It allows developers to work collaboratively and share their work with the world. And as the name implies, it is a hub where you can work with other people. On this website, you can actually create, edit, and change files. So this may not be very practical if you're working on files that involve code, because you may want to use a text editor or an IDE for that. And so one way to make changes to repositories locally on your computer is to download the GitHub desktop application. We'll talk about that later, But for now, let us play a quick little game. So you may or may not have noticed that the logo for GitHub is a combination of two animals. And so my challenge for you is to type in the chat what the animal pairing you think is. So one quick hint is to take a look at the head and this over here. You can see my cursor. So we'll see in the chat, we'll monitor the chat and see who's the first to say it. So once again, anyone feel free to answer the question if you like. Just list the two animals you think it is.
We'll be sure to provide some buffer time here too, since we know there is a bit of a delay between what we're saying and as well as the stream as well.
Nice.
Okay, no, yeah, we already got it.
Looks like
nice.
Someone's already got it. The first person to say is Kenta Yamamoto. That it is a cat and octopus. Well, that is correct, and because of that, you will get a very rare, very special Octocat trading card, right? And so, yes, the logo for GitHub we call an Octocat, half cat, half octopus. And two things you'll see on the trading card is that it has two abilities, which are fetch and clone repository. Those are two features I will explain later in a demo. And so now I'll pass it on to our DSC lead, Aaron.
Aaron, you muted.
Thanks, Giovanni. Sorry about that. So you might be wondering, why should we even use GitHub, and what is it, and where is it even used? Well, GitHub is used to code collaboratively. This means you can use GitHub for in-class projects or even personal projects that you might be working with someone else and to work with code simultaneously in a controlled environment. And this also means that you could resolve errors between different versions of your code, as well as manage your code in a more efficient way using a shared platform. And who knows, you might be even be working with someone across the globe on this project. Another reason why GitHub is used is because it's quickly becoming an industry standard, especially in today's virtual world. You might be thinking stereotypically, software developers might not really work a lot with other people within the company, but this is really not true. GitHub is widely used as a platform in the industry to manage changes and revise these changes between developers and other developers within the company. Another reason why GitHub is a good platform to use is that you can contribute to open source code with GitHub. Open source code means that your code is public and anyone can see it and anyone can use it for maybe their own project or maybe their own developing tools. And it's sort of like a Creative Commons license within writing. Through open source code, you can support other developers in learning over the internet, especially now since we're all learning together within a virtual world. You can contribute to a database of learning and collaboration in open source code, and who knows, maybe you might get comments or have your code be widely used someday in an important tool or project. To give some examples, our own tech team has some experience using GitHub. For me personally, last January and February, I had an internship where I developed a sort of diary logging system for a car racetrack racing program, and this included us building a logging system, buttons for judges to track when cars would enter or exit the track, driver changes, battery changes, and all that sort of good stuff. And we all use GitHub to share our code and assign people to different parts of the project. So one person would take care of buttons, one person would take care of the logging system, and another person could take care of the database connection between front end and back end, all using GitHub. And so I'll pass it off to Stephany, who will talk about her experience as a former GitHub intern.
Thanks, Erin. So before my internship at GitHub, I used it for my personal projects and portfolios. And then in my internship at GitHub, I was able to use issues and pull requests and actions to develop a better user onboarding process for GitHub Classroom. I'll pass it off to Giovanni.
Thank you, Stephany. So another project we worked on with the three leads here, me, Aaron, and Michael, is that we made a Discord bot that we called JoBot. And so we did this during the winter session, which is between January and February. And we decided to make this Discord bot for the Computer Science Club because we wanted a good way to manage the CS Discord. It was also a good way to practice, a way to learn Python, and overall just have fun with coding. And so we used GitHub in this case to work collaboratively with us three and two other members. So now I'll pass it on to Michael.
Cool, thanks, Giovanni. So now me personally, I've actually just this past summer, I've worked with Giovanni and another friend of ours to develop our own game as part of, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but it's the Brackies Game Jam, where we have a week to develop a game. And so what GitHub allowed us to do is all work in the Unity game development environment so that each individual person can work on a single level within the game. And so it was a really great experience, and GitHub made it really efficient for us to all work on this project together. So with that, I'll pass it on back to Aaron.
All right, thanks, Michael. So you might be also wondering, how does this even work? GitHub's really similar to Google Drive in that Google Drive has folders and files within each Drive project or folder, and while GitHub has GitHub repositories, which are sort of project folders and like a hub for all the files in your project. Like in Google Drive, you can distribute files to use and have them be available to everyone in the drive, everyone in the shared drive, and everyone can access these files and usually edit them, which GitHub can do as well in a more controlled environment. And in a GitHub repository, you'll have files that everyone can see and access, but in their own desktop. What this means is that GitHub uses branches to distribute files and share these files throughout repositories and throughout the people in these repositories. A branch is like a unique set of code changes with a unique name, and each repository can have one or more branches. The main branch, which is the one where all changes eventually get merged back into, is called the master branch. And usually people would use branches to isolate development work without affecting other branches in the repository or even the master branch. Whoever's in charge of reviewing these branches or reviewing these things called pull requests can pull in the changes from other branches, pull in your contributions, and merge them into either the master branch or even other branches that may be combined. And so I'll pass it off to Jasmine.
Thank you, Aaron. So why should non-tech majors learn how to use GitHub? Well, it's good to be familiar with the platform even if you're a non-tech major because, firstly, you may need to collaborate with coders in your job. For example, if you're a graphic designer who needs to collaborate with coders to create a user interface, then through GitHub, you can share images and other files that are necessary for your project. Secondly, GitHub actually has a lot of pre-existing raw data and files which are useful for fields like journalism, research, and data science. For example, the New York Times compiles raw COVID-19 data onto GitHub. So let's learn how to retrieve that data. And while I'm getting my setup ready for this demo, feel free to ask any questions that the other members will answer.
Yeah, cool. Feel free to type anything you want in the chat, any questions, or just like any recap on anything. If you guys want to type out maybe something that you thought was interesting or something you didn't quite fully understand, we can possibly, hopefully, explain that to you guys. Well, I guess I should also add, meanwhile, if there are currently, I'm not seeing too many questions in the chat as of right now, what you guys can do if you haven't had the opportunity to download a GitHub desktop or make a GitHub account, now would be a good time to do it while we're waiting for everything to be set up as well.
Yep, and I'll post on the link in the chat right now.
So just let me know when you guys are ready to move on. I have my setup ready.
Cool. It looks like we are good. There aren't any questions in the chat. So yeah, you're free whenever, Jasmine.
Okay. So let's say you are a journalist or a worker in the health field and you want to research on COVID-19. So we would need data for that, and let's search up raw COVID data. And as we scroll down, we notice, oh, the New York Times uploaded something. We know that they're a credible source. Let's check that out. And it'll take you to the GitHub website. And you may think, oh, I'm not familiar with this platform. How do I access the data that's here? Well, I will teach you now. So on this left side here, there are the files of all the data that they have. And in the center here, they have the descriptions of what those files are. So for example, the live file, the live data is always updating. And on the right here is when it was last updated. So we see that the live data is the most recent, that updated 4 hours ago. And as we scroll down, you can see descriptions about the data that you can read about. If you scroll all the way down, you can see where you can contact them, as well as the contributors. So let's say we want to work with the live data, because that is the most recent. Then we go ahead and click on the file, and you can see that they break it up into counties, states, and the US. We want to work with counties. So we click on that. And then you can see that they break down the data into categories of date, county, state, cases. And over here is the search bar, so you can search through this data. Let's filter only counties in California. So you can see that it does that for you. But what if I want to save this and manipulate it on my computer? Well, then you click this raw button here, and that will take you to the raw data, and you can go ahead and save it onto your computer. Oh, as you can see, I already have it saved there, so I will save it and replace it. But for you guys, it will be a new file. And I will just go ahead and open that. And you can see that it all appears here, and you can go ahead and edit it however you want, organize it, and that's how you access data on GitHub. So if you guys have any questions, want me to clarify anything, go ahead and feel free to ask me now.
Well, as the questions start rolling in, I also have a question. So can you do this all through Google Sheets?
Yes, so you can save this onto your computer, and then through Google Sheets you can import in that data, and it will be exactly the same as Excel.
And I have a question too, actually, while people do type down their questions that they may or may not have. But so if I download this file and then say I want to make a change on it, or I want to delete some of the rows, will that delete the same rows, or like will it change the files that are on GitHub then?
No, so that is totally separate. You've created your own like copy almost onto your computer itself. So whatever changes you make on your end of on your file of the Excel, it won't change anything on GitHub. On the original.
Cool. And I think with that, doesn't look like there's any questions rolling in at all. So if you're good, Jasmine, we can pass it on to Stephany for her demo.
All right, let's pass it on to Stephany then.
Thanks, Jasmine. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I'm going to assume you can see my screen. Let me know if you can't.
Yes.
Yep, it should be good on our end.
Sounds great. So I'm starting at the github.com main page. If you have a github.com account, you'll just want to navigate to the main page. So this is what the main page looks like for me. We'll see that we have some recent activities similar to how a newsfeed would appear for Twitter or Instagram. There's the same feature on GitHub where you can see what your friends or followers are up to. So let's get started by creating a repository. So on the navigation bar, I'm going to navigate to the plus sign symbol and then click on that. And then from the drop-down, I'm going to click the option that says New Repository. Then we should be at a new page that says Create a New Repository at the top. So as Aaron mentioned earlier, a repository is similar to a project folder where you can add any assets like files and folders and images and data sets into the repository so you can manage your project and collaborate with others as well. So the first thing we need to do when creating a repository is give a repository name. And we can do this by selecting this text field right here next to our avatar. And I'm going to type GitHub-workshop. After you've selected or typed a wonderful name, you can also have the option to add a description if you'd like, but I'm going to skip that step for now. Below the description, we can see that we have an option to configure our privacy settings. So with GitHub repositories, you can decide whether you want this a public repository so that anyone in the world can access it and see what your code is like, or you can have this as a private repository. So you can choose the collaborators that are able to manage your project. So I'm going to leave this as a public repository. The last thing I'm going to do is initialize this repository with the README file, which is a text file that tells our viewers and collaborators what this project entails. So just a quick recap, I gave my repository a name, which is GitHub-workshop. I set the privacy settings to public, and I selected the Add a README file option. And then finally, I'm going to click the Create Repository green button. And then you should see the newly created repository. And you'll know that this is successful when you see the repository name. For me, it's GitHub-workshop next to your handle. So great. We've created a repo, as a repo is short for repository. And the next thing that we want to do is add some type of file or make some type of changes. And to do this, what we'll be doing is creating a second branch. So we can see the main branch we're working on is the master branch, and you can find that in a small label above your avatar on the repo page. And branches allow different team members and collaborators to make changes to their code while not interfering with the main production branch. So let's go ahead and make some changes. So I'm going to click the master label right here above my avatar. And I'm going to click on the text field that says find or create a branch. And so here I'm going to type the name of my new branch, and I'm going to name it readme-edits. After you're satisfied with the name of your new branch, all you have to do is press enter on your keyboard. And then after you've successfully created a new branch, you'll see this blue alert on the top of the repo that says branch created. And then you'll also see that the label that previously said master will say the name of your new branch. For me, that's readme-edits. So great. We've successfully created a new branch in our repo. So now what we need to do next is make a commit and publish some changes to our repository. So I'm going to click on the readme.md file name right here below my avatar. And then you should be navigated to the main page of the file. And to make edits to this file, I'm going to click on the pencil icon next to these labels right here. So I've clicked the pencil icon, and this is an editor where we can make changes to our file. So I'm going to say Stephany is awesome. And those are all the changes I'm going to make to this file. So once you're satisfied with the changes that you've made, you want to scroll down to the bottom of the page and look at this window right here next to your profile photo. So when we make a commit, we're making changes to our file in our project. And if you're collaborating with a bunch of team members or some collaborators, you want to provide a commit message to convey the changes that you're making and why they were made. So in our case, we updated the README. So I'm going to type that right here. I'm going to type update README ND with name. And then you have an optional window to provide an extended description, but I'm pretty content with the commit message we have so far. And so the last thing that you'll need to do is ensure that you're committing these changes on the correct branch. So oftentimes you'll want to commit on your independent branch versus the main production branch, which is master. And so you want to ensure that we're committing on the correct one. So in my case, I'm committing directly to the readme-edits branch, which is okay. So once you're happy with your changes, your commit message, and the branch you're committing your changes to, you can click the green Commit Changes button. And now we can see that our changes are added to our file. So we see the title of our README and then the text that we added just right now. So great. We have a repo, we have a second branch, and now we have our new edits. Now, if we navigate back to the main page of the repository, we can see that our changes aren't added because we made the changes to our second branch, the README edits branch. So let's talk about pull requests for a second. So pull requests are the heart of collaboration on GitHub. When you open a pull request, you're essentially comparing two different pieces of information. So if you were working on a website and you were responsible for adding a drop-down menu, you might add a different branch called drop-down, and then when you're ready to submit your changes to the main website, you would open a pull request where you can select someone from your team to review the changes and then merge them together with the main branch. So let's do that now. So below the repo name, you want to click on the tab that says pull requests. So I'm going to click that. And then we're going to click the green button that says new pull request. Great. So after you've clicked the new pull request button, you should be looking at this page that says compare changes. Now in this page, we want to compare two different branches. So we want to decide the base branch, which is the branch that we'll be pushing the changes to, and then the branch that we're comparing it with, which is the new branch. So for my base, it says master, and then the comparing branch is the readme-edits branch. Great. So when opening a pull request, you're able to see any additions or deletions for the new file. And so in our case, I can see that the modifications for a file in green are this new line that says Stephany is awesome. And so once you're happy with the changes that you'd like to open a pull request for and the branches that you're comparing, you can click the green Create Pull Request button. And then similar to commit messages, you want to provide a message for your pull request. So you can say exactly what changes you're making in your pull request so that the reviewer on your team knows exactly what to expect. And so once you're ready with your pull request message, you can click the green Create Pull Request button. Awesome. So you should notice that if you created your pull request successfully, you should see that the number on the tab has modified. Since we didn't have anything before, we have one new pull request, which is great. And so just because we opened this pull request doesn't mean that we've added the changes to our main README. And so if we navigate back to the main repository page, we can see that there still aren't any changes modified because we still need to merge our pull request. So let's go back to the pull requests tab and go to the pull request we just created. Now, if you're satisfied with the changes that you're making between the two branches, all that's left to do is to merge the pull request. So we can see that there are no conflicts between the base branch and the new one, and then we can click the green Merge Pull Request button, and then click the green Confirm Merge button. And then you will have successfully updated this, the main production branch file when you see this purple icon at the top of the pull request and then where it says here below that says pull request successfully merged and closed. And so you have the option to delete the README edits branch since we won't be using it anymore. So I'll go ahead and press delete branch and then navigate to the main repository page where we should see our changes. And there you go. So we can see that we're on the main production branch, which is master, and then we can see our changes that are merged. And that's it. So with that, I'll take it back to the team.
Thank you so much, Stephany, for
Cool.
that wonderful demo, and I really learned a lot. One
It's
question. Huh?
Oh, no, I was saying, yeah, I was gonna lead into the question too, but no, I was just saying, yeah, it's very helpful. Great demo.
Yeah, one question we do have from the chat is, what tools do you use to create the UI for a GitHub page? I'll direct it to Stephany.
If you could elaborate on the question a little bit, that would be great. In terms of creating the UI, like for the github.com page, you would use a combination of like HTML and CSS and any other type of CSS library. But then in terms of creating the UI for a personal page, like for GitHub pages, you could just use HTML and CSS and that would create the stylings for you, or introduce a library like Bootstrap. I see that there's another question from Gavin.
Yeah, what are the green and red squares in the top right of the page?
Was it the pull requests page? If you're speaking about the pull request page, so the green buttons on the top, or the imagery, represents the additions that we're making into the file. And then the red one represents any type of deletions or anything that was modified from the file. And so in our case, since we were adding a new line that said Stephany Lopez is awesome, or Stephany's awesome, that would be represented by the green, since we're adding that to the file that's different from the base branch. And then the red would just represent anything that was deleted or still there but is modified in a different sense.
Cool, sounds good. Yeah, and I think that's what he was referring to. So that answers Gavin's question. Cool, if you guys still have more questions, feel free to type them down in the chat. But okay, but moving on. So now you've been introduced a little bit to the GitHub website, and you may have heard me earlier mention about the GitHub desktop app, and that begs the question: is there a difference? If there is, what is the difference? Because I don't know, if you were to think of it like something like maybe I'm thinking of it as like the Discord desktop app. We have the Discord website and the Discord desktop app, where they're essentially the same exact thing, except one is just on the website and another is just an application on your computer. So in that case, is there even a difference between the two? Giovanni, would you mind answering that question for me?
Yeah, of course. That's a good question, Michael. And the thing is, both the GitHub website and the desktop application can basically do nearly the same thing. However, if you want to work on code locally on computer using other software, such as Editor and IDE, or maybe you're working with files that specifically have code, well, then I'll encourage you to use the desktop application because it'll provide a much more faster and a more efficient experience.
Okay, I see. That's great. So kind of what you're essentially saying is that GitHub Desktop is a desktop application with the purpose of making it easier for users to interact with GitHub straight from their desktop. That's pretty cool. All right, cool. So this sounds cool. Sounds like something I would use. So how would we go along downloading something like this? Well, first off, we're going to need to go to the website in order to download it. The link, I think, yep, should be provided by Aaron Tan within the chat. So feel free to click on that. You can also just type in the URL, https://desktop.github.com, and you should be greeted with this website over here. And you'll see right below that is a purple button for you Windows users out there to download for Windows systems. And for you Mac OS users, you guys got to look a little bit harder. You'll see right underneath there is the fine print for Mac OS download. Go ahead and click on that. They're all on the same page. And then right underneath that is actually the open source application terms. And what this is essentially when you do use GitHub and their platform, you are abiding by their open source terms. I won't get too much into that, but if you guys do want to learn more about that and what that means, feel free to click on that and learn more about it. So cool. So when you download GitHub Desktop, you may think, okay, I'm gonna open this and I'm gonna see everything that's on my GitHub website already when I do log in. But that's not necessarily the case, because your project files, or your project folders, your repositories in this case, are stored within the GitHub server, within this GitHub cloud, as we call it. But they're not stored on your computer where you can interact and work with them directly. So in order for them to get from the GitHub server, or the cloud in this case, onto your computer, we need to do what's called cloning the repository. And this is something that you'll do often while using GitHub Desktop, and we'll go into that later. However, just keep in mind that you don't have the files on your computer yet, and we need to clone them in order to get onto them. So once you do download GitHub Desktop, for first-time users, you should be greeted with something that looks like this, a window that looks like this. You have light mode. For some of you, you may back off a little bit, like, whoa, light mode, but don't worry, we'll tell you guys how to activate dark mode for GitHub Desktop, as well as we'll show you a bit how to sign in with that. So with that, we will get started with our follow-along and with our demo. And while Jasmine's setting that up, that gives you guys, some of you guys, some time, if you haven't fully downloaded GitHub Desktop yet, or if it's still currently downloading, we should be all set by the time it finishes for you guys. And meanwhile, while Jasmine is setting up her side of it and sharing her screen, feel free to type in more questions in the chat if you do have more questions. Actually, I will add alongside with this too. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. Feel free, so that we can all do this together and do this demo together. If you guys have created your GitHub account already, feel free to type down your GitHub accounts within the chat, and then we can add all of you guys, and then we can all work alongside each other.
Okay. I am ready. I will share with you guys now so you can see my screen.
Cool.
And now we will switch it over. Okay.
All right. Cool. I think we are good. So yeah, feel free to type in your usernames in the chat. Actually, before we begin, we have one question. One question from Kenta Yamamoto. He asks, can multiple people edit the same branch at the same time? And Stephany can feel free to add more along this if I don't fully explain it. But yes, you will be able to have multiple people to edit the same branch at the same time. However, since you can have multiple files on this same branch, or multiple project files, you just have to make sure that two people don't edit the same file at the same time, which can lead to a bunch of errors, like called merge errors that we call. So to answer your question, yes, multiple people can work on the same branch, but make sure that two people aren't working on the same file located on the same branch at the same time. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. We have some usernames coming into chat. But with that, okay, we'll get started. Jasmine, do you mind sharing your screen onto Google Meets so I can?
I thought I was already sharing. Am I not?
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I thought. Okay, yeah, it is. It's because it's just similar to the other slide. It's the same exact thing as the slide. All right, cool.
Okay.
So it's like perfect transition. All right, cool. So those of you that have opened up GitHub Desktop should see something like this. But first, let's log in, because as of right now, you may not be signed in. So you can go. You can do that by clicking the File tab found on the top left corner of the GitHub Desktop, and you'll see little options pop down, or you'll see a bunch of you'll see a bunch of options pop down, and you want to type you want to hit the Options tab over here. So once you do click on the Options tab, you'll be greeted with something like this. As of right now, Jasmine's already logged into her GitHub account, but you may or may not be. So if you aren't, you can sign in using your GitHub account, but you guys don't need to worry about GitHub Enterprise Server, because that's more for business-oriented thing. If you are running a business and you want to use GitHub Business, that's what GitHub Enterprise Server is. Stephany can feel free to correct me on that, because I'm not too certain, but yeah. So it should be the first sign-in link that you guys use. I'll pause here for a quick second, let you guys catch up a bit. You should be good. And I guess while we're at it as well, on this same tab, you'll see on the left-hand side over here, there should be a tab for the Appearance tab. And this Appearance tab is where you guys will be able to switch from the light mode, going to the dark side, joining the dark side, clicking on dark mode. It's much more pleasing to the eye, and I like more. But yeah, you guys can feel free to have light mode, dark mode, whichever you prefer. So yeah, okay. I'm gonna pause a quick second here. Make sure you guys are caught up. Make sure you don't have any questions. Feel free to type questions in the chat if you do. All right, cool. So moving on from this, now we can get into adding or cloning a repository, as I was mentioning before. So in order to do that, we can do one of two things. If you already have the repository, if you're already added into a project or a repository on GitHub, you can access it directly from the GitHub desktop website, or you can go to the GitHub the GitHub website, or whoops, the GitHub desktop app. You can access your repository through the GitHub desktop app, or you can clone it from the website. So you can do one or the other. So for right now, we are going to go to the GitHub desktop website just to kind of see for you guys to see what you may see when you get invited. And actually, as of right now, I'm gonna pause for a quick moment, and I'm gonna add people onto the GitHub repository that we have set up. So you guys can feel free to ask questions. If I was going a bit too fast and you fell behind a bit, you can ask questions in the chat about what to do, as well as just add any other questions that you have. So okay, so actually, should I share my screen for this?
You want me to
Adding collaborator?
I'll stop presenting.
All right, yeah. So yeah,
wait,
actually,
let
it
me
may be good for you guys
mute.
to.
Sorry. Oh, there we go.
It may be good for you guys to see how to actually add people into your projects, because you through Stephany's demo, you guys have created a repository. However, you may have the question, oh, how do I add people to it though? So I'm going to share my screen. And cool. So if this is all good, then you should see here, this is the repository that we created, which you guys would have created. And the owner of the repository is the one that needs to add people. So you can do that by hitting your settings tab over here. And you'll see a bunch of options on the side over here for managing access. And if you manage access over here, you can see who is able to collaborate within this repository. So we're gonna add a couple collaborators over here. So let's see. I'm just gonna go top down from what people have typed so far in the chat. So we have the Ryan. Cool, we got you. Gonna add another collaborator down here. It is Ryan Bell. Nice, cool. Got him. Add collaborator, Kai, and then a bunch of numbers. 120003. Cool. And then as I send out these invites, you guys should get an email about an invitation to join the repository. So you guys can go ahead and accept that through your emails that you have under GitHub. FYC. Oh, nice. That collaborator. Yeah, 9. So, did I type that wrong? Whoops, yeah, 9. And so, I think I may have typed that wrong again. I know this one's you, Kaylin. NAGANSO. You may or may not have created a GitHub account I think that's Kaylin. Yeah, Kaylin. Or I may have typed it wrong. Let me know if about that. ABHERYL. Cool, got that. And then last one here. GVI. Nice. Okay. Add another A. Okay, let me let me try Kaylin's one more time. NAGASONAGAN. Ah, yes. Okay, nice. I got you. Okay, cool. That should be everyone. I think I already added Kreinvel. Yeah, I should have already added you. Let me know if I haven't. But okay, so you guys can check your emails for that invitation, and you should be able to accept it. But yeah, okay. With that, that's basically how you would add people onto GitHub, and say there are certain things where it's like, oh, what if you want to delete the repository, and stuff like that. So you should be able to do that through the options tab. Clicking all the way down, you see the danger zone. You can change the visibility to be public or private in here. You can transfer ownership to people. You can archive this repository, or you can delete it. So yeah, you can still make changes. It's not like once you do create your repository that's like set in stone. You can still change it. But yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, no, I see. Yeah, Kreinvel didn't see it, but we should have invited him. So yeah, he should be good. All good. All right, cool. And with that, I'll stop sharing my screen, and then we can go ahead and Jasmine can share her screen.
Okay. Sorry, hang on for a second there as I. All right. We should be good. Okay.
All right,
so
cool.
I should go to the desktop, right?
So yeah, you should go to desktop, and if you've already been if you already accepted it, you should, if you go into File, the File tab on the top left, and then you click on Clone a Repository, you'll see two options. There's one that kind of shows all the repositories that you are currently in via the GitHub or GitHub.com website, and you can go ahead and click on that. But for some of you out there that may or may not see it, you can also clone it via a URL on the right side over there, and you can essentially just go to the GitHub website and copy the URL for actually let's do that. Yeah, let's do that right now. So let's go into the GitHub.com website. And then you're gonna need to sign in. Because I think all of you who may accept this may see this. And then on the left-hand outside over here, you should see repositories. Yeah, and then you can go ahead and click on Mike 345 for GSC test. And all of you who accepted the invite should have been brought to this page, I believe. And so in order to get the URL, you can click on the green code button over on the right-hand side, and then you can go ahead and copy that link right over there on the bottom, or you can even open with GitHub Desktop. Just for speed, you can go ahead and actually, my bad. No, we're going to copy the URL. So yeah, so you've copied the URL, and let's go back to GitHub Desktop. And then now we can enter the URL over here. And so you can go ahead and paste it into there, and it should be the same one. Cool. And now we can choose where we want to save this repository or this clone, because how I mentioned before, we have the files on GitHub, and we want to basically save those onto our computer. As of right now, you have it inside of Documents. You have it saved under DSC Test. But it's important to remember that when you do clone it, GitHub creates its own folder for you. So you don't need to create a folder and then save this repository inside of that folder, unless if you want it for all your repositories. But we can go ahead and clone this repository. or this project, I should say. And once everything is working, it should be fine. Cool. So now everything should have worked fine. Of course, let us know in the chat if any of you do have any complications with this. But okay, so now what? Now what do we do? How do we change files? Well, we can do this by going to the repository tab on the top left tabs, and under the repository tab, you're able to show and explore, and it will pop up the project folder where everything is saved under. And for those of you who may or may not have noticed, there is the Octocat Pokemon card that is still in here. So who is that guy? I think it was Kenta Yamamoto. Feel free to save that to your computer because you earned that one. You were the quick one. You got it. But yeah, nice. So we have these initial files. But what if we want to add our own files to it? So we can do that directly since we're working directly with the folder that GitHub is looking at. So Jasmine, you can go ahead and right-click within this folder, and you can go ahead and add a new text document. New and then text document right underneath there. And you can go ahead and name it whatever you want. I prefer to name it your name. All of you guys following along, you can feel free to do this too. Make sure you just create a new text document. And once you save that, you can open it and add what you want. You can add Jasmine is awesome, or hello, my name is Jasmine. Nice. Excellent choice. And once you go ahead and save that, and cool, you can either close that out or hide it in the background. And so, okay, so we added this file, but is it changed on GitHub? Not exactly. Let's go to GitHub Desktop for a quick second. And then now on GitHub Desktop, since GitHub Desktop is looking at that folder that we've cloned into our computer, it's seen, hey, there's this new file that I have over here, and so once it detects that there's this new file, it will have all of your changes on GitHub Desktop, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So now if you look on the left-hand side, it'll say there's one changed file, and that is jasmine.txt, and then you'll see a little green plus sign on right next to it, and that indicates that we've added the file. And then you'll see within this file, the thing we've added was woo, I'm becoming a developer. So you can see all those changes there. And so now what we need to do, as Stephany mentioned before, we need to commit this change, and that can be done on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. And you first you would need to create a summary of it. If it's pretty obvious what the summary is, like this one, it's create jasmine.txt. GitHub will give you its own kind of default option, but you can go ahead and change that to whatever you do want, or you can just leave it as is. And of course, an added description that's totally optional for all you guys as well. But now with this, we can go ahead and commit to master. And this is committing to the master branch that we have right here, just working directly with this branch. So right now, you may think, okay, cool, we've made these changes. Now it's good, right? Because we committed. Not exactly, because you can think of using GitHub Desktop or using all these commits and pushes as writing a letter. Once we've wrote like, woo, I'm becoming a developer, that's like writing your paper. And once we press commit is like putting that letter inside of an envelope. You're sealing it in this container saying, okay, this is what I want to send. But you haven't put it in your mailbox yet. So it's not going to be sent out unless you say, okay, like I'm putting it in the mailbox, it's being sent out. And in order to do that, that's essentially saying push to origin. So by committing, we wrap it in this envelope. And then when we push, we're actually sending it out to GitHub. And that's when we can see the changes. So Jasmine can go ahead and push, unless if those of you who have pushed before have already updated it, we may or may not see a pop-up that comes up. And no, we haven't. Okay, so cool. So now Jasmine has pushed, and now you'll see there's no local changes. And on this right-hand side, you can fetch, or on the upper tab, so you can see the fetch origin button. And the fetch origin button basically allows you to see the latest updates if anybody has pushed anything, or if anybody has added any new files or any new changes into your project. So Jasmine, you can go ahead and push that to see if anybody has done this as well. Okay, I don't think anybody has done this as of yet. So in that case, Oh, that's true. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, we'll yeah. All right, yeah, cool. I got it. We'll just push and then pull. So cool. And then let's see. I'm gonna pull the origin. Feel free to ask questions in the chat if you guys are still stuck on anything. And cool. Oh, actually, on my end, I see that there's ryan.txt. So that means, yeah, Ryan has added his own file in here. So cool. So we have somebody else in here. So I think Jasmine, on your end, you can fetch origin again. You should see an update.
Oh, there's
Cool. Yeah.
5 commits.
Oh, there's actually 5. That means, yeah, 5 of you have pulled. So this whole action of, say, Jasmine creating her files and pushing, as well as Jasmine updating to get the latest update and pooling is really useful through GitHub Desktop because it's streamlined in a sense. It's just you're only working directly with the files on your computer, as well as just pushing some buttons to get the latest updates and get the latest pulls. So what Jasmine can do as of right now is pull the origin, and by pulling the origin, you're getting the latest changes. And then if Jasmine, you can go ahead and click on repository again and open up your project file, repository, and then show and explore. And then we'll see a couple changes. We have Matthew over here. We have Ryan with his change over here. And so cool. So essentially through GitHub Desktop, we are able to share these files together with each other, as well as as well as work on them together. But just make sure you don't work on the same file together. We are running out of time, so we can't go over merge errors, but I hope you all can learn a bit something about using GitHub Desktop through this. But yeah, feel free to still play around with this a bit. This is on my GitHub account, so you guys can feel free to do whatever you want with it and type in more questions, or just email us, message us if you have any questions about working with GitHub Desktop. And with that, I believe that's this portion.
And I will stop presenting. And
we have a question in the chat that says, or an error that Kaylin got, that says, got a pop-up that says desktop is unable to push commits to this branch because there are commits on the remote that are not present on your local branch. Fetch these new commits before pushing in order to reconcile them with your local commits.
Yeah, cool. And I see Cranval has added a bit to that in the chat. So thank you for responding in the chat for that. But yeah, just for everybody out there listening as well. What you need to do is before you do make any changes, you need to make sure that you have the latest version of the GitHub project on your folder. So that's why it's always good to fetch the origin, or basically when we say fetch, we mean update your GitHub to look for the latest updates within the GitHub server, within your GitHub repository. So if that does ever happen, you can go ahead and just fetch the origin again, and then there should be a blue button that says to fetch. Click on fetch, and you pull the latest updates, and then you're able to push your file that you've changed. It's just GitHub's way of making sure that nobody changes the same file, because as before, you have to make sure that nobody works on the same file, but you all can work on the same folder. So yeah, I hope that helps.
With that, if anyone has any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us as well.
Cool. We'll give everybody some time to have some questions. I hope everybody's good. I'm gonna be fetching the origin on my end to see how many people have pushed anything. All right, cool. Yeah, Kaylin got her question answered. So that makes sense. Thanks, guys. Cool. Yeah, let us know if you still have problems with that. We just hope everybody can at least get one push off and like add one file on. So we have a lot of people that have added so far. Cool. We have Cherio. We have hello world.txt. We have Matthew. We have Ryan. Cool. If anybody is still trying to do it and they're having a couple of complications, feel free to type it out in the chat. I think that is good though. Looks like there's no questions coming in. Oh, we have one from Kenta. Did my file get added? Let's see. On my end, let's see. We have. It doesn't look like I see it, Kenta. Unless if you know the name of your text file, you can put the name of your text file within the chat. Just so that I can just look through them and see which one you created and see if it's there.
I see Kenta's as a pull request, actually.
Ooh, okay. So Kenta's is as a pull request. Or okay, oh no, I see. Okay, I think you initially did a pull request, but I see that you created a file now. Created Kenta. Yeah, okay, I see you created a file called Kenta. So I see your push, so you got it successfully in there. Nice. That should be good. If anybody's still having trouble adding a file with their name on it, or the name as their title, I should say, you can type in chat. But I think it does look like everybody's good.
All right, everything looks pretty good. So we'll move on now. So in the beginning of this presentation, you may have been confused, like Harold over here, like what is Git? What is GitHub? But hopefully now you have a better picture. And I hope you keep using GitHub, and we can't wait to hear all of your adventures using this software. So now I'll pass it on to the next person.
So if you're interested in being an officer, we are still recruiting officers to help out with the club and help connect further with our community. So if you're interested, make sure to sign up there today. And so we will have our next web dev workshop, which will hopefully have another speaker. We're still working on it, but we'll get back to you on when that happens. But it'll be in 2 weeks, exactly from now, on Saturday, September 26th, and where you'll be able to learn how to create your own website, create your own portfolio, and have a website to hopefully show recruiters or show anyone to the world your personal portfolio.
And of course, oh wait, did you want me to get? All right, okay, and of course with that, please do fill out the feedback form, as this is the best way for us to improve our workshops as well as make them better and more suitable for all of you watching out there. So yeah, they're really important if you want to see workshops get better, or you feel like there's something more that you wish to see, or more you wish for us to improve on. And with that, of course, feel free to keep in touch. We have all of our social media links here. If you have any questions on the workshop, any questions on just the DSC in general, we have our link for our email, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as well as our website, and of course our Discord, which are the main ways that we'll be able to interact with all of you.
And with that, we know we went a little bit over time and we apologize for that, but we'd like to thank you so much for coming to our workshop and coming to learn GitHub with us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and participating.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know we had technical difficulties today. Hopefully it'll be solved, but the connection will be good in our next workshop.
Hope to see you guys soon. Take care.
Woo.